Hi people, welcome to Bouquet Jazz Dance. You're in the Blue Lab. What makes me stand out the crowd from the beginning, I used dance practices that were used to raise the prestige of other dance forms. For example, ballet was once debased, the jig was, the Rio was, flamenco was, Argentinian tango was debased. People need to know these all came out of impoverished areas. Ballet wasn't obviously, but the other dances were, and ordinary people did many things to raise this art form. So I used good practice. Now, one of the good practices from the beginning, I am a dance artist, a dance educator. Dance education is important to me. A cultural heritage one, which is very important for people to understand about legacy and heritage. One of the key things, I gathered photographs to give people understanding of so I could show people a positive image of me in action, to show my involvement in dance. I then identified to people dance doesn't happen in a vacuum. When you dance, you learn wider complementary arts go with it. So music is one. You can't learn to tap without learning African drumming, Brazilian drumming, Caribbean drumming. You can't, because you're meant to be a musician. And expectation, you can't be involved in music and don't learn about music. You can't do ballet and don't learn about ballet music and ballet history, etc., etc. Do you understand? Because that enhances your knowledge, experience and skills as a performer, as a dancer, as a teacher. So UK Jazz Dance, first of all, I created my own centre of advanced training, my own independent centre from everybody else. I created my own lab. I created my own research centre, excellent centre of research and development for myself in my own journey to look to do what I was doing. Have you got that? I, as an individual who started to research the wider use of dance, arts, dance and health, from a long time ago I started to do that as an individual. I started to look at leadership in dance, management in dance. Basically I looked at the wider ways how you could use it for issue-based work within youth clubs, etc., etc. I did all these sort of things, how you can use it to develop small business development skills, which is huge now as an individual, because many dancers haven't been taught business acumen. But I was taught business acumen by my teacher, academic teacher called Sir Roy Blackman, and in my role to wanting to be in the RAF to survive in general, he taught me business acumen skills. Yeah, and I use models in sense of getting to understand myself. So, example, SWOT is part of a model that he taught me to use: strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats. Porter is basically looking at the barriers to entry for you to do what you're doing as a business, and I did that as a person. So he put me in the middle. What the barriers are stopping you moving forward? So one of them was finance, one of them was lack of opportunities, one of them was inequalities, one of them stereotypes before I reached a venue. So if I went for an interview, I would be stereotyped by people. So basically we put into practice a number of different practices for me to better improve my promoting of myself as an individual. And one of them was having a portfolio. So some of the photographs you see here are part of my portfolio to give an employer a better impression of me, because sometimes people had a negative impression of us when we went for jobs. And so if you can dispel them impressions, which I did, because I had a portfolio huge. I was involved in sports for Sale Harriers, for Lancashire Cricket Ground, Flixton Boys, you know what I mean? As an individual, that helped me in getting jobs in white environments for sure, and the school I went to definitely helped me, because I've been well socialized in how to work along white people and other cultures as well as an individual. But I always had a portfolio, and so I recognized from the teachings of Sir Roy Blackman was pictures of you in positive images working with different cultures, particularly white people, will endear you to employers, because what happened, they have stereotypes about us as a people. And that's one of the things I recognised as an individual. So you're in my lab, and I use it for a centre of research. Right now I'm doing my own project, and that project is about me advancing my dance leadership. And what happens, I had barriers to entries. My competitors did not want me to move forward. I worked alongside some individuals, and silly things happen where people withheld photographs and video, which were part of a deal in working with them as individuals. I identified they could use them for themselves, but what they wanted to do, they wanted to stop me entering the industry, and I already had a plan about how to get into the industry anyway, and I didn't expect the people I went to do what they did. But it was important when they did it, what I did afterwards, because when they did it, I was already prepared for it. So one of the key things was people wanted to discredit me as being a professional. He's not a professional dancer. He says he's done ballet, he's done contemporary. You show me the evidence. Well, I have the evidence. Do you understand? So that was important. I was ahead of the game. I had forward thinking because of teachers, my teachers, who never gained the opportunities to do what I do in dance or in music, etc., who've done great things. Their recognition was taken away from them because people hid the photographs and video of them being in films, videos of them being on albums. They recorded, etc., etc. They never got to access these albums, access these films to show the people so that they could get jobs. Because the teachers in my arts did not have no qualifications. They grew up self-training themselves to do this art form and became masters in the field. But in the UK, what happened in Great Britain would be, so for example, my teacher wanted to teach music. He had to have a degree or master's PhD in music before he could do that. Do you understand? So there again, he had barriers to entry. Do you understand? So he taught me, look, if you have an opportunity to study what you're good at in the arts, study it. Because what it's going to do, it's going to open doors for you. Otherwise, you're going to have challenges if you wanted to teach around the world, etc. Now it's changed, luckily, for people like myself as an individual, because I have qualifications in dance, but I didn't have no qualifications before. But my road to work with companies and organizations was I was actually in a dance company. So I took a step to validate myself. I took a step to raise my prestige as a dancer by being involved in projects like this, which gave me an automatic global prestige, global status. I'm working with the Contact Theatre here in the first ever Mixed Movement Festival, and it's a transatlantic event. So immediately it gave me a voice in the dance world. I don't use qualifications to do what I'm doing, but if I wanted to teach, I would do. But so therefore, I would be a specialist teacher. So you have to understand some of the key things that can happen to artists. Sometimes I haven't thought through fully what I called Look Before You Leap. Is a project I created saying if you want to be involved in your field, do everything that's going to open doors for you sustainably. You don't know where you're going to be, but there's like a plan. If you're going to be good at what you're going to do, don't limitate yourself to what you don't know where it's going to take you. And historically, you should know dance, particularly for African dance for people, has created employment for them. It's changed the world. Dance changed my quality of life more than anything else, than science, than English language, than mathematics, than team building. Dance changed my life. I became a European representative because of dance. I've gone into Europe talking about the projects I created. Do you understand? Yeah, in Europe, where would I got that opportunity? I would never have got it. Do you understand? And what happened was I expanded myself. I pushed the boundaries where I used that dance. So I introduced my dance to African. I introduced my dance to Brazilian dance. I introduced my dance to Caribbean dance. I introduced my dance to flamenco. I introduced my dance to tango. I introduced my dance to salsa. I introduced my dance to contemporary. I introduced my dance to tap. I introduced my dance to soft shoe shuffle. Do you understand? They all opened doors for me to have a wider experience in my dance field as a leader, as a manager, as a choreographer. Do people understand? Because I had this mindset to push the boundaries of my learning, training, and development. And that came from Master Jubrin Town, the father of jazz, but came from bebop and modern jazz. You don't limitate yourself when you got your art form. Every day you should push the boundaries of your learning. Now that comes from the Bible. People need to understand. Musicians took on biblical values. Biblical values was you must live your day, each day, pushing the boundaries of your learning, training, and development. Do you understand? You don't limitate yourself. So one of the key things that happened for me, I looked for dancers who did exactly what I did. And I ended up working with some amazing dancers. One of them, Christopher Hibbert from London. He was like me. He studied African dance. He went to dance school, got a degree in dance, etc., etc. He was into hip hop. I loved his spirit because his spirit was, I want to push the boundaries of what I'm doing. Do you understand? And me and him hooked up together and we started to do heritage work as an individual. He had his own center of advanced training in his, you know what I mean? He had that. And so when we came together, that was one of the things that we had. We wanted to push the boundaries of what was happening in the dance club. What we were seeing in the dance club, there was like no creativity happening no more in London. And we thought, nah, that's unacceptable. People are still dancing the same ways they danced 20 years ago. You're being lazy. If you're supposed to pass this dance on to the next generation. You're supposed to push it forward for a new generation of dancers to come in. That's supposed to the idea of a dancer in our community is a healer. She's a healer. Do you understand? He's a healer. And the whole idea of him being a dancer, he should push the boundaries of the dancing and the music, etc., etc. We were artists, both me and Christopher Hibbert, so we created our own works. Do you know what I'm saying? I created my own works, projecting from my own personality and character as an individual. So I'm just giving people an insight into my war. Bouquet Jazz Dance, just giving people an insight into my centre. Here, this is my writing. What I'm putting, all this is going to be put into some form of book. Yeah, this writing eventually. This is, some information that I'm putting up at the moment. Still compiling information together. I just want to give people to do a book. It takes time. And what happened, you have to own the photographs. You have to understand the struggles that I've had. Some of the photographs I can't get access to, first of all, which 99% of the videos and photographs I've done, people withheld them photographs. I find it hard to get testimonials. So basically, that changed the way what I'm doing as an individual. You know what I'm saying? Now here's a flyer. Can't get hold of the photographer at the moment. I want to use this photograph, but I can use the flyer as part of what I want to do. And you have to find different ways to use it, because what happened, if you can't use it in a commercial way, because you find a photographer to get his permission or her permission. So there's some of the things where you get barriers to entry. You can have photographs taken of you, but you can't get permission to use them photographs in what you want to do a book. Do you understand? Alright, so there can be some barriers because people stop you from doing that. Blue Cage Jazz, that's out.